guys, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time of watching my videos, you are most welcome. If you're a returning viewer, you are loved. So today guys, I want to teach you how to cut and sew this beautiful jumpsuit with a boat neck. So sit back and enjoy. Welcome back guys. So cutting this beautiful style, the first thing you need to do is to cut out the upper area of the jumpsuit, which is also the half length basic bodice. So I folded the wrong side of the material into two places with the biggest circumference of my upper bodice, which is my bust circumference, divided by 2. Then I placed my tape on the starting line of the supposed shoulder point. So my starting point is the shoulder point. Then I mark my full length of the half length, which is 17 to 18 inches. I marked 17 and 18 inches. The 18 inches is for seam allowance. Then I marked my armhole point, then my bust point, which is 10 inches. So that is the points that we'll be needing. So the starting point of the tape is my shoulder line, and I'm going to divide my shoulder circumference by 2. My client's shoulder circumference is 15 inches. Divided by 2 is 7.5 plus half inches seam allowance, making it 8 inches. Then I make sure that I use the 8 inches down to the armhole point. That is what I'm using now, making my armhole line. Did you see it? So the next thing I'm going to do is to add the neck points. So remember, we are going to cut the boat neck. So for cutting a boat neck, this is how to cut a boat neck. I am going to go in by 5 inches as the wideness of the neck. Then I'm going to come down by 3 inches as the depth of the neck. So I'll go by 2 inches depending on how high you want your boat neck to be. So this is how high I want it to be, and so the remaining allowance is 3 inches. So I'm going to divide my bust circumference by 4. So I divided my bust circumference by 4, and what I got I mark. Then I'm going to still add the same measurement on the bust point, because the first point I marked was my armhole point, which is also my chest point. So I brought down the same measurement to the bust point. Then my waist point, divide by 4 plus 1.5 inch. I'm still going to be adding the allowance. So that is it. So after marking the waist point, divide by 4, then I'm going to add the 1.5 inch seam allowance to all the points. So 1.5 inch seam allowance to all the points, and I will connect it. So the next thing I'm going to do is to curve my armhole with my armhole curve, and then it's time to cut out the front piece right now. And the next thing we're going to do is to cut the back piece. So cutting the back piece, I am going to place my front piece on the back piece by giving an allowance of 1 inch or 2 inches before placing the front piece. You understand? So I have an allowance of 2 inches. That allowance is going to serve as my zipper allowance. So I'm cutting out exactly the way I cut the front piece. I'm tracing the lines from the front piece. So you can see an allowance I give at the center front of the front piece. That is going to be my zipper allowance. So after I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is to come down by 1 inch from the center back. So then I'm going to adjust the zipper allowance. I came down by 1.5 inch from the center back. Then I'm going to adjust my zipper allowance. That's the next thing I'm going to do. So I'm adjusting it by cutting out 1 inch off. So making the total of 1 inch for the zipper allowance. So I'm going to cut out this line I just made. So my zipper allowance now is 1 inch. You understand? So the next thing I'm going to do right now is to give it notch on the zipper area in case of adjustment and when adding the zip. So right now I am cutting out the neck depth for the back first of all before cutting out for the front. I trace the lines not to make mistakes. So that is it for the upper bodice of the jumpsuit. I won't be needing that. I don't know if it's only me that doesn't like that on my dresses these days. I don't like that, so don't expect me to be adding that because I don't like it to be on my dresses these days. It's not a must. So it's time to cut the jumpsuit, and to be able to ascertain the full length of the style, then what I'm going to do is to remove 17 inches, which the 17 inches is what I used on the upper area. So the 17 inches, starting from the 17 inches, I'm going to know the full length, which is 60 inches, and I added let me adjust my camera. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust my camera for you guys to see the full length of the trouser part. So placing my tape back on the normal way, I am going to mark my hip points because my tape is already on the waist point. The starting point of the tape is my waist point, then my hip point and my knee point. That 24 inches is my knee point, then 14 inches is my crotch point. Those are the 4 points I will be needing, though I didn't mark the waist point because I think the waist point is the starting point. That is why I didn't mark the waist point. So I marked from the starting of the tape is the waist point, while the 9 inches is the hip point, and the 14 inches is the crotch point, and 24 inches is the knee point. So I'm going to be adding the measurement right now. The waist circumference divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch seam allowance. Remember, I will add the exact seam allowance I added on the upper area and the exact measurement. So my hip circumference divided by 4 plus 1.5 inch seam allowance. So I'm trying to look into my measurement book because I'm not sewing for myself, I'm sewing for my customer. So I'm going to be adding exactly what I see there, and I will divide it by 4. So measure yourself, divide your measurement by 4, and I'm still going to upload a video on how to take a proper measurement. So I'll add my crotch. I use 13 inches as my crotch circumference. So my customer's crotch measurement is 26 inches. Divided by 2 is 13 inches. That is how I got the 13 inches. Then I used what I got on the hip line to mark my knee point. Then I'm going to mark a straight line. I'll connect the lines to the full length of the trouser, which is 60 inches, and I'll connect it exactly the way you see it there. So this is me after I'm done cutting out the trouser, front piece of the trouser. But I'm going to give it a feminine shape by going in by, on the down part of the trouser, I am going in by 1 inch. Then I'll maintain the 1 inch to the knee point, to the crotch, and to the hip. I did not add and reduce anything. I maintained it to the knee. Then on the hip, the thigh point, I remove half. Then on the waist, I remove ½ inch. Then I'll connect it. So this is how it's going to give me a feminine shape. You understand? So that is it, and I'm going to cut it out right now. I'm going to use the front piece to cut out the back piece. The difference is just the crotch. The crotch point is the only difference between the front piece of the trouser and the back piece of the trouser. So for the trouser, the back part of the trouser, I added extra 2 inches allowance. Then I curve it to meet the front piece line. Then I'll do the same thing on the down part of the trouser. You see, that is for the back piece, and I'm going to cut it out exactly the way I cut out the front one without any adding or subtraction. So I'm going to cut it right now. So after I'm done cutting it out, the next thing I am going to do is to cut the sleeve. So guys, cutting out the sleeve, I am going to fold the wrong side of my material and into 2 braces, then cut out the sleeve length. The length of my sleeve is 16 inches. Next, I marked a line for the sleeve starting line, then come down by 4 inches, and I divide my armhole into 2 places. I used 8 inches in the picture, in the video, and I added extra 2 inches seam allowance for the sleeve. Then on the arm curve, I divided my arm into 2, my arm curve into 2. This is how to place your armhole curve. This one is for the armhole curve. Then for the arm curve, I divide my arm into 2. But for my client, I'm just trying to show you how to divide your arm curve. So total of this, mine is 14, but for my customer, mine is 10. So I am going to mark down 5 for my customer plus 1 inch seam allowance, making it 6, and I'm marking it down. Then I'll connect it as simple as this. Then I'll cut it out. This is the sleeve, and this is I'm going to cut this into 2. We're going to be needing 2 of these. So guys, I am done cutting out the pieces I will be needing, so it's time to start joining it. And here I am joining the interfacing. So this is the interfacing for the front and the interfacing for the back, which I have already joined. So I'm trying to pin it down because I didn't iron it. I was waiting for light. I didn't see light, and the timing for my clients was getting close. I had to start sewing immediately. So I'm going to join for the front, and for the back with the trouser, I'm going to join the trouser and the top together right now. And this is the trouser for the front, and here I'm done joining the trouser for the front. I joined the waist to the crotch, and I'm going to use the front top bodies to join to the trouser part by making the right side face the right side of the trouser. Then I pin it down, and after pinning it down, I am going to join it with my machine. So for the back piece of the trouser, this is the back piece. I'm trying to measure where my zip is going to stop, and this is how I'm going to sew it down to the crotch line, then to the crotch point. Then I still want to join the upper bodies to the sides, as you can see. So I'm trying to pin it down, and here I am. After pinning it down, I'm going to do the same on the other side, because we have 2 sides for the back, but for the front is just 1 side. So after pinning, make sure the zipper area is at the crotch side. So after I'm done with that, I am going to stitch it all the way down. Then from the line I marked, I'm going to stitch it down, then add my zipper to the back. So here I'm done joining everything. This is how it looks like. I also joined the laps area, and this is how it looks like. I also joined the shoulders together. If you've been watching my videos, you would know all these things, so I won't be saying much about this joining part. So I'll just join everywhere, and then I want to shape it a bit because there are so many excesses on the upper area, and I'm going to shape it like this and shape it like this. Then add my measurements, making sure that my shoulder measurement is 15 inches. Right now I'm going to measure the exact measurement without dividing anything. The only division I will be doing here is to divide by 2, because it's only the front and the back that will be dividing now. So I'll divide my bust in 2, and my waist by 2, then my hips in 2s, and join the sleeves. So here I am done joining, and this is how it looks like after everything. And I added a rope to it to make it come out so nice. So guys, thank you for watching. See you in my next video. Bye.